The Oklahoma City Thunder will be a top 4 seed in the West next season. The future is now in OKC, and now is their time to shine and make their rise up the Western Conference. Someone seemingly does it every season. Last year it was the Kings that made the rise up the Western Conference. The year before that it was the Grizzlies, and the 2020 season it was the Phoenix Suns. The 2023-24 season, led by superstar SGA, having budding stars in Jalen Williams and Josh Giddey alongside the return of Chet Holmgren, OKC are set for that Western Conference jump. They are set for a dominant season, but let's dive into why. And first, let's start by talking about the core four of Chet, Shai, Giddey, and J-Dub. Shai-Gilgeous Alexander was comfortably second in voting for most improved player during the 2022-23 season, and that's for good reason. Shai officially took the leap from star to superstar, leading the Thunder to their first sniff of the postseason in this new era. He saw his points increase by 6.9, his field goal percentage rose from 45% to 51%, and although the volume declined significantly, his efficiency increased from 3. Now, as we saw even more so last year, SGA lives and dies by his ability to create dribble penetration, by being one of the best paint scorers at the guard position in the league, his ability to draw fouls, and his mid-range shooting. The three-point shot is far from a core part of his game, something that is a bit of a theme with this OKC core, but perhaps it's something he evolves and improves over time. He did all of this last year whilst having a 34.5% usage rate, putting him in the top 10% of guards in the league, and putting him in a role with a lot of ball handling, playmaking, and scoring responsibility for this team. Even with all this pressure, SGA turns the ball over at an absurdly low rate, and continues to produce efficient offense night in and night out. That pressure may ease through the further development of players like Josh Giddey and Jalen Williams, but it is clear OKC are very reliant on SGA right now, night in and night out, and very rarely does he disappoint. Josh Giddey certainly showed flashes during his rookie season, but he improved significantly during his second year with the Thunder. The biggest concern people had with Giddey, and that I quite frankly had with Giddey, was his scoring threat, and most notably his shooting. Whilst he certainly still has plenty of room to improve in that department, he already showed that he is going to improve from his leap from year 1 to year 2. Giddey went from shooting 42% from the field to 48%, and from 3, he jumped to 32.5% after shooting 26% in his rookie season. Any player averaging 17, 8, and 6 in their second season in the NBA is definitely on the right track and is destined for a lot of success in this league. J-Dub, Jalen Williams, another great draft pick from the OKC Thunder, and it resulted in him finishing second in Rookie of the Year voting last season. Jalen Williams is already a productive all-around wing with great offensive efficiency, as he shot 52% from the field last year, which as a rookie wing is absurd. He also added on to that, shooting 36% from 3. Through his rookie season, Williams showed the ability to be a good cutter next to Giddey and Shai, that he could create his own shot at times, can shoot some threes, and be a solid rebounder and defender. There's still plenty of upside for Jalen Williams moving forward. He can do a little bit of everything on the basketball court. But his rookie season showed all of the signs of another great draft pick for OKC and another new addition to this core. Jalen Williams, SGA, and Josh Giddey are key pieces of this Thunder core moving forward. But where everything ties together for OKC next year is with Chet Holmgren. Chet enters the 2023-24 season as a rookie after missing the entirety of his presumed rookie season due to injury. He will enter the NBA as the second overall pick, standing 7 foot tall with a 7'6" wingspan. And that pure figure alone is going to make him an elite rim protector in this league, and will make him a very productive player immediately from game 1. Secondly, Chet has a wild amount of upside and versatility on the offensive end. It's well known that Chet has plenty of talent and upside as a three-point shooter, and has a much better handle than most bigs, but his offensive game likely expands much further than that. At his height, expect Chet to be able to get very easy lobs from the very good playmakers he will be around in Shai and Giddey, either through sitting in the dunker spot or through the pick and roll, but mix that with the potential pick and pop game, and it will become very difficult to manage Chet on either end of the floor. What makes this OKC team so tantalizing next season, and why I do believe they will make a top 4 seed, is the return of Chet Holmgren. Evidently, OKC lacked a good center last season, and so they were still good defensively, mainly because they had good perimeter defense, but it resulted in poor interior defense. It resulted in poor defensive rebounding, and that lack of a play finisher around the rim for Shai and Giddey to get easy buckets for. Because all due respect to Jalen Williams and Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, you could argue they shouldn't even be playing the center position. That's point number one, but two, they're just simply not great NBA talents. They will likely continue to find bench roles in this league moving forward, but bench level power forwards are nothing compared to an elite talent like Chet Holmgren. Chet is going to come in from day one, and even with some growing pains and adjustments to this league, will immediately be a significant upgrade over last season's center play in a drastic way, and will make a positive impact in the biggest problem areas for OKC last season. The rim protection, interior defense, and any amount of height in the paint for OKC last year was seriously lacking, and Chet will improve that immediately. OKC were the 13th best defense in the league last year, but you inject the length and rim protection of Chet into this perimeter defense that is already so good, and OKC are a lock to be a top 10 defense at the very least next year, especially considering the fact that OKC force a lot of turnovers, and Chet's length is only going to add to that chaos. Evidently, the defensive rebound will improve significantly with Chet on the court as well. I don't expect that to be a strength of this roster, but it will nonetheless be better than it was last season when they were amongst some of the worst teams in the league. Now, the defensive talent is tantalizing to me. That's where I think he will have the most success immediately, but the most exciting part of Chet's immediate impact to OKC will be his ability as a play finisher, because they didn't have one last year. They were desperately in need of a play finisher throughout the entirety of last season. Now from day one, the Thunder will have that in Chet Holmgren. Of course, Chet has plenty more upside to his offensive game than simply being a play finisher, especially with his three-point shooting, but this OKC offense creates so many opportunities from the playmaking and dribble penetration of Josh Giddey and Shai-Gilgeous Alexander, and even just the cutting of Jalen Williams. Having a big in the middle to grab offensive rebounds, finish lobs, or to find open space in the dunker spot is going to transform this OKC offense. Too often last year, the Thunder struggled to finish plays where great opportunities were made around the rim, but this struggle should dissipate with Chet back on the court and can completely revitalize this OKC offense, letting them take that next step as a team and make a push towards those top 4 seats. Outside of the addition of Chet Holmgren, there are other reasons I have plenty of belief in OKC heading into next season. For a young team, OKC play a very disciplined style of basketball and show success in categories most young teams often struggle with. The Thunder last year were amongst the top of the league in forcing turnovers, whilst rarely turning the ball over. And as previously mentioned, even without Chet Holmgren, OKC were a very good defensive team last year. It also cannot be overlooked the value of what last season brings. This group had another year of experience together under their belt, another year of development, but most importantly, for the first time since the 2019-20 season, played meaningful, competitive basketball throughout the entirety of the season, and even capped it off with a play-in game. OKC are far from their peak. They are still a very young team, but this is not a typical young team. This is a young team that plays basketball with winning habits, and despite the criticism of their rebuild, it has been quite quick and has them possessing one of the best players in the league in Shai-Gilgeous Alexander. The best is yet to come, but as soon as next season, the Oklahoma City Thunder will be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference, and they will not be falling out of that top 4 anytime soon.